We'll see what happens. And we're going to see what happens this weekend. Saturday night's main event is coming up. I can't believe it's time for another one already. We've got Damian Priest taking on Drew McIntyre inside the confines of a steel cage, or as Bruce might call it, a salad steel cage. We've also got CM Punk and Sami Zayn teaming up to take on Seth Rollins and Braun Breaker. It feels like a pay-per-view so far. We've got Jey Uso versus Logan Paul for the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And a lot of people are nervous about that. The Logan haters are nervous about that. But the main event is John Cena and R-Truth. And I can't say I had that on my bingo card. I'm excited for it. I'm looking forward to it. I don't know what to expect. I have no inside information. Does feel like a good place to bring back Cody Rhodes, hypothetically. What do you think of this lineup that WWE is pushing out this weekend for Saturday night's main event?
So do we really need to go back and discuss why WWE is cutting even more house shows? Because their stars are on Saturday night main event, the pay-per-view, and the international travel, and Raw, and SmackDown, and moonlighting on NXT. They don't have time for it. Happy for Truth, but let me ask you, Conrad, because you got to deliver. You just have to deliver for your distributor. And do you think creative treats this like a premium live event or like a Raw?
Well, if you recall the first Saturday night's main event, I think that was December. I think they had 5 matches and it felt very rushed, like they had to zip through. There was no wasted time. I think they will be afforded the opportunity to let some stuff breathe here. I would assume they start with the cage match just based on the timing to get that set up. And then I feel like we go real heavy story and we finish with John Cena and R-Truth. I could be wrong. I mean, I know back in the day, Saturday night's main event, when it was a late night opportunity, they typically started with the big stuff first. I remember, they'd have like Hogan and Andre on first, and then they'd finish with the Rougeau Bros versus, the Hart Foundation or something like that. I think they have to treat it like exactly what it is. It's prime time. We don't need to necessarily super serve our wrestling base. We need to appeal to everyone. And I don't expect we're going to see a Matt Classic with John Cena and R-Truth. I think it's heavy on story.
Yeah.
Do you think they do the what a lot of wrestling fans would think is the unthinkable? Do you think they put the world title on Logan Paul, or is it too soon?
Too soon. I don't think they take it off Jay at this stage. That's what, and I guess that goes into my question: how are they treating this? Is it a bridge? Man, they create a lot of content. You joking, half joking, whatever. Good place for Cody, man. That could catapult him into the summer, get us off, get them off and running for SummerSlam. I don't know.
Just as a reminder, we're on our way to Backlash. That's May 10th. No, we just finished Backlash, so we're headed to Battleground. I'm sorry.
That's what I'm saying.
This is the NXT show later this month, but the actual next pay-per-view is When Worlds Collide. The WWE /NXT /AAA show. But if we talk just WWE show, it's Money in the Bank. That's that same evening.
Yeah, and that's July or June?
June 7th.
Okay, so we're right in the middle of it. That's I think I in my mind. Yeah. So wow, a lot of content, lots of content. I don't know. God, it's. I don't know, man. You're getting into because when those 4 or 5 matches, the cage, and you can't say that Cena's not in the main event, but I don't think anybody thinks the title switching on either of the title matches, and the Punk match is a tag and storyline. I don't know. It doesn't feel like. And I say this with a huge caveat from creative is subjective, and they may be doing this by design. That's why I'm going back. Is this the TV? Because Are they putting their best foot forward? Yeah, probably are, because of the massive amount of content and the numbers they got to hit. But what a grind. Damn, what a grind. Love it.
Jeff, let's talk about Sabu. There has been a lot of discourse in the past few weeks about Sabu. Of course, he had his last match at Game Changer Wrestling's Las Vegas event. It was called Joey Janela's Spring Break. It was presented as if it would be Sabu's last match. It wound up being a barbed wire match, and there were some scary spots watching it, but that's not unique for a Sabu match. But he was at WrestleCon the very next day, making appearances, and even a week before he passed away, he was at a event at the 2300 Arena, the former ECW Arena, celebrating Joel Goodhart, who's recently put out a book, and he was there hanging out with our pal Mike Johnson and all the other regulars. And then sadly, last weekend, he passed away. And we talked a little bit about Sabu on the show last week, but when you and I got a chance to catch up last week, we had not yet heard from Rob Van Dam. We saw his fitting tribute that he tried to encapsulate his friendship with words on a social media post, but he was most known for being Sabu's greatest tag team partner. And he hopped on the horn with Sabu's greatest rival, Taz. And Taz and RVD did a stream together last week on Rob Van Dam's podcast, and they set the record straight about Sabu. He wasn't actually 60. He was 61. His birth year was 1963, not 64. He was not born Terrence Brunk. He was Terry Brunk. And there was a lot of people who took issue with the story, and I guess it was based on an interview that Joey Janela put out there that said that Sabu enjoyed marijuana products, which are legal in Nevada, and kratom. Kratom, as I understand it, comes from a coffee plant, and lots of people use it for lots of different reasons. But immediately, the Boo Birds came out of the woodwork to say that Joey Janela and GCW killed Sabu, as tacky and silly and dumb as that is. Rob Van Dam set the record straight about Kratom and Sabu. And he also revealed that Sabu hoped to do one more match. He wanted to have a barbed wire match, and he even wanted to have it against Rob Van Dam.
No way.
But Sabu felt like maybe that was cheating to wrestle, his best friend one last time. So maybe there was discussion that he would have one last match in Japan. But Rob really tried his best to sort of poke holes in the whole, hey guys, Kratom and GCW did not kill Sabu. You and I have not participated in any of that discourse. I'm sure we both have our different opinions, but we've not talked about it at all. So I just wanted to give you a chance to sort of, say your piece about this, I guess, controversy about Sabu and Kratom and GCW. I know you were at GC. You had some shots with GCW in years past. You obviously worked a lot with Sabu, even very early in his career. Some of his first stuff he ever did was in Memphis in a tag team match with you and Mr. Fuller. Talk to me about Sabu and GCW and this controversy, if you will.
And look, I am probably the last person on earth, because I don't have any context of we'll call it the Las Vegas WrestleMania weekend. But I do have experience around, we'll call it substances and all that. And when people try to hang on or hang somebody with, they cause this, they cause that, I can only share on my own experience, strength, and hope. And my experience is not once did anybody hold a gun to my head and say, hey, Jeff, you got to drink that beer. Not once. So we all have our individual decisions to make, good or bad, positive or negative. And regardless of the circumstances, it's up to each individual to make those decisions. And, Conrad, I don't know if this is the place, but, now a little time has gone on, but it's ridiculous to hang a promotion or an individual without knowing the facts. I don't have a clue what really went down. I do know that he passed away. I think it's very heartwarming. It's really cool. I've gotten a lot of feedback, both online and for a couple of different texts about, my basically byline of the whole deal was, man, Sabu gave a lot more to this industry than he took. And not everybody can say that. You just can't, about guys that have been in the business. And Sabu, like myself, approaching 40 years. And so for a guy like Sabu, who has been around the world multiple times, I truly believe that he gave a lot more than he received. But as far as his passing, I don't know the details. I do know that it was his time, and our good Lord decided that it like he will decide for all of us, our time on earth is up. But Conrad, do we know what happened? Like what did the coroner's report say? Because to me, all this about nothing that people, and I didn't even realize it gotten that bad, Connie, but it's nonsense to hang it on GCW or anyone, to be honest with you, unless there's some real facts and details coming out that I'm obviously not aware of.
Well said, Jeff. I mean, to your point, I don't think any of us have any copy of an autopsy report or anything silly like that. But the word that I've heard is that it was heart failure. And of course, that's pretty generic. I mean, we don't know anything more than that. What we do know is um, Dominic D'Angelo put together a GoFundMe for Sabu with a goal of $25,000. And as we're recording this, they've already done more than double that.
No
In
way.
the next few days, they did more than double that. Last I saw, it was over $53,000 with a $25,000 goal. The usual suspects were there and answering the call. Guys like Chris Jericho, who's always there to open his wallet for his wrestling brethren, but also Scott D'Amore actually made a promise that on one particular night, any donation that was made, he would match it dollar for dollar. He came in for more than $15,000, nearly $16,000. I mean, Sabu's legacy is going to be far reaching. We're talking about Terry Brunk and his final days, but the reality is the legacy of Sabu and his influence will never die. And I just hate that even now, when we all acknowledge what a great innovator he is and all that, there's a large portion of the fandom that really looks to point fingers and say, "Oh, it's this person's fault. It's that person's fault." It's just disappointing, Jeff.
I'm not getting on my soapbox on this, but it is very, in a lot of ways, reflective of a certain segment of society. That's just, they're looking to blame someone and clickbait and this and that. But you know what? I won't go down that rabbit hole anymore. But what I will do is, I think it's been so cool to see, because look, everybody that knew Sabu, we all have our own kind of individual set points and relationships and experiences. And, I can remember Sabu backstage before, I don't care if it's a big match, a pay-per-view match, or a TV taping, or whatever it may be, just kind of his mindset of getting into it. And, the Abyss matches, but man, to hear Taz and RVD and others really speak to that. And then I always go back, and I shared quite a bit of it last week. I'm a third generation guy, and in a lot of ways, very grateful. It's one of the things I'm proud about, that, our business, we harp on it being pop culture, and we talk about Mr. Beast, but, as I told the fans last night in Tullahoma, Tennessee, 1946, my grandmother got in the business. So when that Sabu, he carried on from his uncle, and the rough Jesus, the dues that guy paid, and then what he parlayed that into a 30 plus, almost 40-year career. There's just no place for it, but there's nothing you can do about all the negativity around it. But again, for my piece, I don't let that really enter into my brain space. I remember Sabu, all the good, everything he gave, and his legacy is just that. He gave so much more than he took from this business.
Let's go live some of the happier moments. I want to recommend everybody go watch Hostile City Showdown 1996. It went down April 20th, 1996. Sabu and Rob Van Dam helped make Rob Van Dam, and man, the magic they made together was fantastic. If you're looking for more Sabu content, I want to recommend you catch up with our conversation we had last week with Blue Meanie, Al Snow, Jerry Lynn, and Rhino. It's available now at podcastheatwrestling.com. Well, maybe you're ready to get off the hamster wheel. You know, the Federal Reserve data is showing that the share of accounts making only minimum payments has now climbed above 11% as of the first quarter of this year.
Damn.
That's the highest level since they started recording and tracking this data back in 2012. But at the same time, a recent survey from Experian found that 2 in 5 Americans are carrying credit card debt and believe that making the minimum payment is enough to manage it. But like millions of Americans, are you too struggling with high interest rate credit card debt? You feel stuck just making those minimum monthly payments? Well, you've heard me say time and time again, your home is still worth more than likely what you paid for it. So instead of carrying all that high interest rate debt month to month, why not use the equity in your home instead? Just take a look at Andy, my buddy up in Appleton, Wisconsin. He had some medical issues that forced him and his family to take on a lot of credit card debt. But we hooked him up at SaveWithConrad.com. We helped him take advantage of the equity he had in his home. He paid off that debt, and he's going to save more than $1,000 a month. How much can you save? Let my team run the numbers for you today for free, just like we did for Andy. There's no cost and no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. It costs nothing to look, as our pal JR says. And when you work with the team at SaveWithConrad.com, you can also expect our year 3 guarantee. Experts agree that interest rates are set to fall within the next few years, but we have an exclusive 3-year guarantee that allows you to refinance in the next 3 years at any time with no lender fees. So you lock in a better rate and reduce your monthly payments today, but you don't waste money with a whole nother set of closing costs later. The best time to start saving money is today. Well, actually, it was yesterday, but today is the next best opportunity. So why not access some of that newfound equity in your house? Turn your house into your dream home with no money out of pocket. If you've got some honey-do renovations you'd like to do, maybe you've always wanted to upgrade your kitchens or bathrooms, you've got the equity in your house to do that too. No matter what you're looking for, we can help at SaveWithConrad.com. Find out how easy it is to get started. And just so you know, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some problems, we don't say no, we say not yet, but here's how. We want to get you on a path to making those financial goals a reality at SaveWithConrad.com. Why not let my family help your family save some cash at SaveWithConrad.com? NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender, SaveWithConrad.com.